This is RTV6 News at 11, working for you.
Scenes like this have become a common sight across the country and in local communities. With injustice and racial equality in the national spotlight, this group is fighting for peace and acceptance in their own backyard. Good evening to you at 11 o'clock. I'm Mark Mullins.
And I'm Amanda Starrentino. Our Cameron Riddle explains why a protest tonight in one Indianapolis community is extremely personal.
In 2020, there are still parts of Indianapolis that are less than overflowing with diversity. Mars Hill, here on the city's south side, is one of those neighborhoods. And some of the people who live here are ready to see that change.
Mars Hill's had a reputation, just like, Hallville and 42nd and Post and all those places. And, these reputations have been for years, and they're not going to change overnight.
Getting to that change is what this humble group of protesters is aiming to do after an interracial couple moved into the area and, according to protest organizer Elder Tyree Coleman, received a less than warm welcome.
This is happening still today, and it shouldn't happen. The police is called on them for false reasons. They're constantly being harassed when they leave their home, come back to things broken and vandalized, and it just shouldn't happen.
Coleman himself grew up on the south side of Indianapolis and remembers a time when there were places that black and brown people knew better than to visit. He says in some ways, those invisible lines are still there.
We could not go to Beech Grove. We barely went to St. Francis Hospital, and we knew that we weren't allowed to go to Garfield Park. We couldn't come down here to Mars Hill.
While the once blatant lines of segregation are now less visible, former independent candidate for mayor and Mars Hill resident John Schmitz says he's using his privilege to stand up against the hate in his backyard.
This is one of my neighbors that just moved in. I can't drive by here every day and see her struggling with this and just turn a blind eye.
Elder Coleman is looking forward to the day when any shade of Hoosier is welcome in every part of Indianapolis.
And I tell people all the time that Indianapolis is really a great place. We have some ugly parts of our past. We have some ugly parts of our present. But when people come together for the greater good, I know that we win.
On the southwest side, Cameron Riddle, RTV6.
And organizers say they are planning on more protests in the neighborhood, possibly every week.
While those neighbors are calling for more acceptance and diversity where they live, a different community is calling for racial equality in the classroom. Today, more than 1,400 former students in the West Lafayette School District sent the superintendent a letter calling for sweeping reforms. Their requests include adopting a Black and people of color curriculum and employing more diverse educators and administrators. Becca Mims, one of the former students pushing for changes, shared some of her experiences with RTV6.
I had a kindergarten teacher tell my mom that I behaved better when my hair's braided and not woolly. Just a lot of microaggressions. You talk white, you sound white. And I think we all knew it was happening. There just weren't enough of us, people of color, people of different races, to sit down and say, hey, this is not appropriate. You don't feel like you belong. You don't feel like you are, wanted. You don't feel like anybody understands you. There's one black teacher, as far as I know. There was when I graduated, one black person in the faculty. So that isn't very inclusive whatsoever.
Organizers hope the district adopts the proposed changes and inspires other schools to do the same. The West Lafayette Community School Corporation released a statement saying it, quote, has zero tolerance for racism and racial discrimination. We are committed to a well-rounded education for all and are proud of the opportunities that West Lafayette Schools affords its students. We also believe a climate that fosters constant improvement should work in concert with our ability to listen to the needs of all of our students, end quote. end quote.
Today, the mayor of Anderson publicly addressed video of a police officer using a chokehold during an arrest. We showed you this video Tuesday at 11. Spencer Nice is accused of resisting law enforcement. The arrest happened on Saturday, 2 days after the city announced police would not be allowed to use chokeholds to make an arrest or control a person in custody. The officers involved are on administrative leave and an internal investigation is underway. Mayor Thomas Broderick Jr. addressed a question he says he has been asked a lot.
Under state law in Indiana, neither myself as a mayor nor the chief as the chief of police can summarily dismiss or terminate an officer for wrongdoing. We can suspend them or put them on leave, if you will, but that is subject to investigation, and it's also subject to final action by the safety board.
Mayor Broderick says the city plans to reach out to local groups to help improve community policing efforts. And the city of Indianapolis is facing a lawsuit related to recent protests against police brutality and racial injustice. The ACLU is suing the city to immediately stop the use of tear gas, pepper balls, and similar chemicals on protesters. The organization filed the lawsuit on behalf of Indy 10 Black Lives Matter and individual protesters. Attorneys argue that the use of chemical agents and projectiles for crowd control violates the First Amendment. When asked for a statement, IMPD and the mayor's office referred us to the city's Office of Corporation Counsel, which said it does not comment on litigation.
New at 11, police have issued a silver alert for this 16-year-old girl. Jasmine Riddle is missing and believed to be in danger. She was last seen at 6 o'clock this evening in Brazil, Indiana. She's described as 4 feet 11 inches tall, 130 pounds, with red hair and green eyes. If you have any information, you're asked to contact the Brazil Police Department. That number is 812-446-2535. Or you can call 911.
While Central Indiana's LGBTQ community celebrates Pride Month, a new report highlights some of the struggles that persist. The Damien Center and several other groups surveyed close to 700 self-identifying gay or transgender people about their lives. 44% reported being harassed, threatened, or attacked in the last year. 17% have experienced homelessness. 20% feel depressed most days. And 145 of those surveyed say they have tried to take their own lives. RTV6's Cornelius Hawker talked to advocates who believe a community center dedicated to all things LGBTQ could help address those issues.
In Indianapolis, there are several organizations dedicated to helping the LGBTQ plus community, but right now, there's not a centralized place to access those resources.
An LGBTQ center, it can fill many of these gaps. It can fill a lot of hardships by providing employment and housing services, and it can also provide primary mental health care.
Dr. Dustin Nowaski knows a lot about the importance of improving access. He founded OutCare back in 2015.
I think most people would be surprised that there are a lot of LGBTQ organizations within Indianapolis and across Indiana, but a lot of them were not talking to one another.
OutCare linked all those organizations, and now it's turned into a nationwide database for LGBTQ plus folks to find doctors and other professionals and organizations that can meet their specific needs, much like an LGBTQ center would do here in Indy.
For me, the center kind of embodies like OutCare in a physical space, so it's nice that we're a partner, and we're absolutely happy to be a part of this group and provide our services.
At IYG, we serve youth ages 12 to 20. And when those youth age out right now, when they turn 21, there's really no place for them to go except to the bars.
That's just one of the reasons why Indiana Youth Group Executive Director Chris Paulson says Indianapolis needs an LGBTQ center.
We don't want to age our youth out into the bars. They need a safe space that they can go that's not based around alcohol, and someplace that they can network and receive services that they desperately need.
Chris and Dustin are hopeful the community at large will see all these organizations coming together and choose to support this cause.
A city the size of Indianapolis should definitely have an LGBTQ center.
I hope that other organizations that want to be a part of this, it is a monumental feat, that if they can contribute in any way, if they can be a part of the conversation, I think that can go a long way.
Working for you, Cornelius Hawker, RTV6.
Tomorrow, more attractions and businesses will reopen across Indianapolis as Marion County enters stage 4 of the state's Back on Track plan. Bars, clubs, movie theaters, bowling alleys, live music venues, entertainment and tourism sites, they'll all be allowed to operate at 50% capacity, and that includes zoos and museums. Houses of worship and restaurants can increase to 75% capacity. Public gatherings of up to 250 people will be allowed. Most of Indiana moved to stage 4 last week. According to the latest update from the State Department of Health, more than 384,000 people have been tested for COVID-19 in Indiana. Just under 11% of those have tested positive. 2,304 people in our state have died from the virus.
The State Department of Health does not list COVID-19 recoveries, but a local hospital is honoring its surviving coronavirus patients with this colorful tribute.
Having the COVID virus is a serious health threat, but we have saved so many. They should not lose hope. They should be encouraged and know that our caregivers are here for them to provide this care.
That's the message Franciscan Health wants to send with this display. Each of the pinwheels, around 300 total, represents a COVID-19 patient who has been discharged from the hospital. One of the hospital's own knows what it's like to catch and recover from the virus. Emily Cohn-Prost is a nurse at Franciscan. She spent 3 weeks in quarantine after being diagnosed with COVID-19 in mid-March. But the health scare did not scare her away from getting back to the job she loves.
I feel very hopeful. I feel very blessed to have survived the virus and then to be able to give back, to continue to give back and work in the emergency department, taking care of those patients that aren't as fortunate.
The CEO of Franciscan Health is encouraging the community to continue wearing masks and social distancing to avoid another COVID-19 patient surge.
We have people who are celebrating freedom, and the freedom that their grandfathers and grandmothers and great-grandfathers and great-grandmothers went through.
Coming up, how some major businesses and state leaders are marking an historic event that many people are learning about for the first time.
And the pandemic forced many nonprofit groups to change how they work with the community. Next, how the changes at Dress for Success are helping the agency serve even more women in need. Kevin.
A line of thunderstorms sits well to our west tonight, but we'll talk about when thunderstorms are most likely to interrupt your weekend plans. That's next.
This is RTV6 News at 11, working for you.
Hiring Hoosiers is connecting you to job opportunities as the country works to rebound from the COVID-19 crisis. A local organization is expanding its operations to help unemployed women return to the workforce. Dress for Success serves more than 1,100 Hoosier women each year. The nonprofit is known for collecting and distributing donated professional attire, but it does so much more, providing workshops on topics like resume writing, navigating the hiring process, and teaching interviewing skills. When the pandemic hit, social distancing orders not only put thousands of Hoosiers out of work, it forced Dress for Success to create virtual services. Executive Director Julie Petra says the change actually helped the organization serve more women.
What we found within a matter of 2 or 3 weeks was that we were servicing women not just in the Indianapolis metropolitan area, but we were serving women who were actually outside of Indianapolis. The virtual offerings will not be something that will go away.
If you would like to help Dress for Success Indy, they need financial support to serve a growing client base, volunteers, and clothing donations. For more info, go to hiringhoosiers.com.
A major fast food chain plans to rebound from COVID-19 closures by adding hundreds of thousands of new jobs. McDonald's says it's hiring 260,000 people across the country as the company prepares to reopen its dining rooms. A majority were temporarily closed because of COVID-19. New safety precautions will be in place as the pandemic continues. Employees must wear personal protective equipment and wash their hands every hour. And customers will see stickers on floors encouraging social distancing, blocked off tables, and no more self-serve drinks available. Now here's Kevin with your Storm Team 6 forecast.
And Mark, we had rain in the state today. We actually still have a little rain right now. It's slowly disappearing in the southeast portion of the state. But for the first time in 2 weeks, We've had numerous downpours with some showers and thunderstorms. I rolled us back 3 hours from, say, Winchester to Richmond, down through Connorsville, Greensburg, and into southeast Indiana. They are fading away at this hour. The main event, our best chance for widespread thunderstorms, where we all may see some rain, will start to influence our weekend. First with an isolated thunderstorm threat Saturday, more widespread thunderstorms, so you're more likely to be interrupted outdoor plans on Sunday into Sunday evening as the cold front pushes closer. Tomorrow morning, it will be dry when you're up and at 'em. Temperatures quickly warm. We should be above 80 by the time we get to noon, with skies partly sunny, and during the afternoon we'll start to develop a shower or thunderstorm. Temperatures getting warmer. The overnight lows will be in the low 70s Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Tomorrow morning still feels decent at 66 and not too humid, but you could see already in the 80s by 11 a.m. 1 o'clock in the afternoon, an isolated shower or thunder shower. They become a little more numerous and pretty random in the afternoon and evening. Just like today, any that develop then will start to fall apart once the sun starts to set and we turn the corner and start to cool off. Temperatures right around 90 during the day tomorrow. Some spots will be in the upper 80s for a high temperature. As you go to the weekend, your headlines: hot. Warmest day Saturday, 92 the predicted high, 100 is the record high temperature. As we get to Sunday, that's the most likely time for rain, and the humidity is around for both days. There's your 92 Saturday. Because of more cloud cover, more scattered thunderstorms, temperatures will be cooler for the second half of the weekend. There are your high temperatures at 90 or above anywhere from northern Indiana to central portions of the state and southern Indiana. Now, as you look at the 7-day planner, temperatures are not that warm next week. We start cooling down Sunday. Monday will hold on to scattered thunderstorms. We need the rain. Then as we go into Tuesday through Thursday, that stretch, the rain chance comes down, humidity will drop, and temperatures will be back into the lower 80s. Uncomfortable to more comfortable. Amanda?
Thanks, Kevin. We told you a little earlier, tomorrow live music venues like theaters and concert halls will be allowed to reopen in Marion County. Our Brad Brown explains how the experience will be different for fans and audience members.
For the past 3 months, stages all over the Hoosier state have been silenced. This weekend, the comeback tour begins.
Judging by ticket sales so far, we've already sold half the tickets for Saturday night. So people are ready to get out, and I think if we're doing it safely and doing it by the book, then we're going to be just fine.
The Hi-Fi in Fountain Square will be among the first to resume live concerts. Among the new COVID-19 protocols, masks are required for entry, touchless payments at the bar, and just 50% capacity. Only 200 tickets will be sold for these first concerts.
None of us had ever been through this before. There's no playbook for this, and we work with a lot of venues nationally too, to take best practices and learn from everybody else what they're doing, venues that have already opened, and how to, properly add all these new safety procedures and things like that, because seeing a show is going to be a little bit different.
For these small venues, any shows will be a much-needed boost to a year that was pretty much wiped out by acts and tours canceling for the rest of 2020.
I think the experience from entering into the show is going to have a little bit different feeling, and it's something to get used to. I think we're like this for a while, so once fans get used to it, it'll be fine.
We just went from, trying to be as busy as we could possibly be to just cramming the brakes and flying through the windshield, and it's been insane.
At the historic Vogue Theater in Broad Ripple, next weekend will mark their first live event after a 14-week layoff. They've used the time to make updates inside for new social distancing protocols.
Just creating opportunities for everybody to spread out and feel safe, and I think that if and when things get back to normal, that extra space will benefit us down the road, but that's going to be a huge help to us in the short term.
The past 3 months have been a trial in simply surviving for small venues like these all over Indiana.
It's all going to boil down to the fans. If the fans don't buy tickets and come back, it doesn't matter who we have on the stage. It doesn't matter what we do.
There's just all these little moments that kind of happen throughout the night. I think that's going to come back immediately. I just might be wearing a mask while I'm doing it, and that's okay.
There's so many little wrinkles of the live aspect of a concert that you just can't get with a sterile live stream. And, you know, we hope that people still remember that, still love that, and I don't think any of us want to live in a world without that.
Working for you, Brad Brown, RTV6.
Days. Visit your local Hyundai dealer today. This is RTV6 News at 11. Working for you.
Many companies and states are encouraging people to learn about, celebrate, and reflect on Black history and culture tomorrow, June 19th. Newsy's Johanna Grenaway explains the meaning of and growing support for Juneteenth.
Amazon, Target, Best Buy, JCPenney, U.S. Bank. They're just a handful of the big names joining in on recognizing Juneteenth as a company holiday amid protest calling for racial justice.
That day is sacred, so to speak. And to celebrate that and allow others to celebrate it is, I think, a giant step in the right direction.
Many companies are either offering full pay to employees who take the day off or time and a half wage to those who choose to work. Some others are reducing hours or closing altogether. Juneteenth is a tradition in the Black community commemorating the end of slavery in the U.S.
It is a celebration of an historical event. We have people who are celebrating freedom, and the freedom that their grandfathers and grandmothers and great-grandfathers and great-grandmothers went through.
While it's not a federal holiday, some governors are recognizing it on a state level. Virginia, where the Confederacy used to have its capital, has declared it an official holiday this year.
Virginia has acknowledged this important milestone with an annual written proclamation. That's nice, but we need to do much more.
And so has New York.
It is a day that we should all reflect upon. It's a day that's especially relevant in this moment in history.
The Black community started celebrating Juneteenth back on June 19, 1865. While the Emancipation Proclamation was issued in 1863, it wasn't until that date that many Black people in Texas learned that they were free. Juneteenth is also a day to celebrate Black excellence. People reflect on the freedom, unity, and advancement of the Black community while encouraging continuous self-development and respect for all cultures. Last week, Twitter and Square CEO Jack Dorsey named Juneteenth a company holiday. Nike CEO John Donahoe followed suit a few days later. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell said the league's offices will be closed on June 19th, and Google instructed employees to cancel meetings that day as well.
This year, Juneteenth will look like no other Juneteenth before it. People of all ages and races, our advocates and allies as well, included, will come together in solidarity for Black people like never before.
Hundreds of thousands of people have signed a petition calling for Juneteenth to be declared a federal holiday.
It's actually recognizing an event that should be, an historical event that should be recognized. We recognize all others. When whites are the participants, right? We recognize that. Why aren't you going to be fair enough to recognize those milestones that Blacks were a part of? That's all. You want to be fair. You want to be fair.
Johanna Grenaway, Newsy.
A pussycat on price.
RTV6 is teaming up with Kroger and you to give back to the community. Now through Sunday, you can round up your grocery bill or select a donation amount when you check out at 46 participating Kroger locations. The money will go directly to the nonprofit group Second Helpings, which specializes in feeding our neighbors in need. RTV6 and the Scripps Howard Foundation will match up to $12,000 in donations. You can also donate by going to theindychannel.com. Kevin.
We may finally round up the temperature to 90 tomorrow. So it was 85 yesterday, 87 today. Tomorrow, planning on 90 degrees with an isolated thunderstorm possible in the afternoon. Mark?
Gonna be a scorcher tomorrow. Thank you, Kevin. That's our broadcast for tonight. We thank you for choosing RTV6 News at 11. GMI comes your way at 4:30 tomorrow. Lauren, Raphael, and Meredith, we'll see you then.